I accidentally stumbled into a secret club at work, and now I'm being threatened by a dangerous organization that wants me to join or pay the price. This all started 2 weeks ago, and I'm still trying to figure out how I ended up in this mess. For context, I've been working at a mid-sized tech company for about 6 months. It's a chill job, decent pay, flexible hours, and mostly friendly co-workers. I'm not exactly besties with anyone, but I get along with most people in my department. Or at least I thought I did. So, 2 weeks ago, I was walking back to my desk after a meeting when I overheard my coworker, Emily, whispering to another guy, Dave, by the water cooler. They didn't notice me right away, so I caught the tail end of their conversation. Emily said, "The meeting's at 6:30. Don't forget the password this time." Now, I wasn't eavesdropping on purpose, but my curiosity was piqued. What meeting? And what kind of workplace requires a password for something? I thought maybe it was some kind of joke, but when Emily saw me, she froze for a second. Then she smiled awkwardly and said, "Oh hey, didn't see you there." I brushed it off at the time, but the whole thing stuck in my head. Later that day, I noticed Dave leaving the office with a weird, old-looking leather briefcase that I'd never seen him carry before. And then Emily left about 10 minutes later, looking unusually nervous. Fast forward to the next day. I couldn't stop thinking about their conversation, so I casually asked Emily what she was up to after work. She hesitated for a second, but then said she had plans with friends. That would have been the end of it, except I noticed her typing something on her phone, and I swear I saw the word password pop up on the screen. At this point, my imagination was running wild. What kind of meeting were they going to? Was it something shady? Or was I just being nosy and overthinking everything? I decided to let it go. Until yesterday. I was working late to finish a project when I saw Emily and Dave leave together around 6:15 p.m. I don't know what came over me, but I decided to follow them. I know it sounds crazy, but I couldn't help myself. They walked to a coffee shop a few blocks away, went inside, and disappeared into a back room. I waited for a bit, and then I decided to go in. When I got to the counter, the barista asked if I wanted a table or if I was here for the meeting. I panicked and said, "The meeting." She nodded, handed me a small slip of paper, and said, "Password?" I stared at her, speechless, for what felt like an eternity. Then I remembered the phrase Emily had mentioned. "Don't forget the password." I hesitated but said, Blue Falcon." The barista smiled and waved me toward the back room. My heart was pounding as I walked in. The room was dimly lit, with about 15 people sitting around a long table. I recognized Emily and Dave immediately, along with a few other co-workers. They all looked at me, and Emily's face turned ghostly white. "Wait," she said, "you're not supposed to be here." And that's where things got really weird. First update. Alright, so if you read my last post, you know I accidentally stumbled into a secret meeting at work. Well, I've had time to process what happened, and I wish I could say it's no big deal, but it's way bigger than I expected. When I walked into that dimly lit back room and saw my co-workers around the table, it felt like I had walked into a movie scene. Emily looked like she'd seen a ghost, and Dave's jaw actually dropped. The whole room went silent, except for the faint hum of an old fan in the corner. Hi," I said, trying to play it cool even though my legs felt like Jell-O. Nobody said anything for what felt like an eternity. Then a guy I didn't recognize, an older man in his 50s with thick glasses and a no-nonsense vibe, cleared his throat and said, "Who are you, and how did you get in here?" Before I could answer, Emily jumped up and stammered, He's just a co-worker." He probably got confused. The guy squinted at me and said, "Password?" I froze. I'd already used Blue Falcon to get past the barista, so I had no idea if that was supposed to work here too. I panicked and blurted, Same as before?" To my surprise, the guy nodded slowly and said, "All right, sit down." At this point, I was too far in to back out, so I awkwardly shuffled to an empty chair at the edge of the table. The tension in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Emily was glaring at me, and Dave was avoiding eye contact entirely. The older guy, who I later learned is named Carl, started speaking again, addressing the group. He talked about some next steps and increased security, but was super vague about what any of it actually meant. The others around the table were nodding and murmuring in agreement, but I had no clue what was going on. Then Carl said something that made my stomach drop. We've had some incidents lately. Uninvited guests. People asking questions. If you see anything suspicious, report it immediately. We can't afford to take risks. Everyone glanced around the table, and I swear I saw Emily subtly motion toward me. I tried to act like I was totally in the loop, nodding along and pretending to take mental notes. After about 20 minutes of cryptic updates, the meeting ended, and people started filing out. I was about to leave when Carl stopped me at the door. "You're new," he said, looking me up and down. "Who brought you in?" Before I could fumble for an answer, Emily swooped in and said, "Oh, he's with me. It's his first time." Carl narrowed his eyes but eventually nodded. "All right. Make sure he knows the rules." The walk back to the office with Emily was one of the most awkward experiences of my life. As soon as we were out of earshot of anyone else, she hissed, "What the hell were you doing there?" I tried to explain that I overheard her and Dave talking, got curious, and kind of stumbled into the whole thing. She wasn't buying it. "Do you even know what you just got yourself into?" she asked, her voice low and urgent. "No," I admitted. "And honestly, I'm not sure I want to know." She sighed, clearly frustrated. "Look, just stay quiet. Don't talk about this to anyone. And for your own sake, don't ask any more questions. Trust me." And with that, she walked off, leaving me standing there, completely dumbfounded. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the meeting. What is this group? Why do they need passwords and increased security? And what did Emily mean by rules? The weirdest part is, ever since the meeting, I've felt like people at work are watching me. Not just Emily and Dave, but others too. I catch them glancing at me in the break room or whispering when they think I'm not paying attention. I don't know what I've gotten myself into, but I'm starting to think it's not just some harmless club. Second update. Hey everyone, I promised to update, and things have taken a turn I didn't see coming. I'll try to explain everything, but I'm honestly freaking out a little. After my last post, I decided to keep a low profile at work, just like Emily suggested. I stopped asking questions, avoided the back room at the coffee shop, and tried to act normal around my coworkers. But the more I tried to stay out of it, the weirder things got. First, I started noticing strange cars parked near my apartment building. Cars I'd never seen before. One was a dark blue SUV with tinted windows that stayed parked across the street for hours. Another was a black sedan with a cracked taillight that showed up twice in the same week. I'm not a paranoid person by nature, but it felt like too much of a coincidence. Then, at work, I found a folded piece of paper on my desk. It was blank except for a single sentence written in all caps. "Be careful who you trust." I have no idea who left it there, but it sent chills down my spine. The final straw came last Friday when I was working late again. I know, bad habit. I heard footsteps behind me in the nearly empty office, and when I turned around, I saw Dave standing there, looking super uncomfortable. "Hey," he said, avoiding eye contact. You're still here?" I told him I was finishing up some work, and he hesitated before blurting out, "You shouldn't stay late anymore. It's not safe." "Not safe?" I asked. "What does that even mean?" He just shook his head and said, "I can't explain. Just don't." Okay. Before I could press him further, he walked off, leaving me more confused than ever. At this point, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed answers. Over the weekend, I decided to dig deeper into what this secret club might be. I started with some light internet sleuthing, searching for anything related to secret meetings, passwords, or even the term Blue Falcon. Nothing useful came up. Then I remembered something Carl had said during the meeting. We've had some incidents. I realized if this group was dealing with security issues, maybe there had been news about it. I searched local news archives and found something that made my heart drop. A month ago, a journalist went missing in our city. His last known location? A coffee shop, the same one where the meeting took place. The article mentioned that he had been investigating a powerful and secretive organization operating under the radar. The police had no leads, and the case had gone cold. Now I was officially panicking. Was this journalist investigating the same group I accidentally stumbled into? And if so, what happened to him? I wasn't sure if I should go to the police, quit my job, or just pretend nothing happened. Then, on Sunday night, I got a text from an unknown number. "Stop digging. You don't want to end up like him. I don't know who sent it, but I'm scared. Someone clearly knows I've been looking into this, and they're trying to warn or threaten me. Tomorrow is Monday, and I have to go back to work. I'm honestly terrified of what might happen next. Third update. I don't even know where to start. This will probably be my last update for a while because I'm not sure what's going to happen next. Everything came to a head this week, and I'm still processing it all. On Monday, I went into work with a knot in my stomach. Every glance from a coworker felt like it carried hidden meaning, and every passing conversation sounded like a code I couldn't crack. I decided to keep my head down, avoid Emily, Dave, and Carl, and just get through the day. But things didn't go as planned. Around lunchtime, Emily cornered me in the break room. She looked more frazzled than I'd ever seen her. "Come with me," she said in a low voice, glancing around to make sure we were alone. I followed her to the stairwell, where she turned to me and said, "You're in serious danger. They know you don't belong, and they're watching you. You need to leave. Quit your job. Disappear." My heart was pounding. "Emily, what is going on? Who are they?" She hesitated, like she was weighing whether to tell me the truth. Finally, she said, "It's not just a club. It's a network. They call themselves the Syndicate. They have connections everywhere. Politics, business, law enforcement. They operate in the shadows, making deals, silencing people who get too close. If they think you're a threat," she trailed off, but I didn't need her to finish. I pressed her for more details, but she wouldn't say much else. "I shouldn't even be telling you this," she said. "Just get out while you still can." That night, I went home and started packing a bag. I figured Emily was right. I needed to leave, at least temporarily, until I could figure out my next move. But as I was zipping up my duffel bag, I heard a knock at my door. Through the peephole, I saw Carl. Panic set in, but I forced myself to stay calm. I opened the door a crack and asked, "What do you want?" He smiled, a cold, calculated smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Can I come in? We need to talk." I didn't want to let him in, but I also didn't want to make him suspicious. I reluctantly stepped aside, and he walked in, looking around my apartment like he was sizing me up. "You've been asking questions," he said, his tone casual but laced with menace. "That's a dangerous habit." I tried to play dumb. "I don't know what you're talking about." He chuckled. "Don't insult my intelligence. We both know you don't belong in the syndicate. You stumbled in by accident, but now you know too much. That's a problem." I felt like the room was closing in on me. "Look, I don't want any trouble. I'll quit the job, move away, whatever you want. Just leave me alone." Carl's smile disappeared. "It's not that simple. Once you're in, you're in. There's no walking away. But we're willing to give you a choice." "What kind of choice?" I asked, my voice shaking. "You can join us," he said. "Prove your loyalty, and you'll be taken care of. Or, you can refuse. But if you do, you'd better be prepared to live the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. Because we'll be watching." I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying his words in my head, trying to figure out what to do. Joining them feels like selling my soul, but refusing means putting a target on my back. The next day, I got another message from the unknown number. "Meet me at the parking garage at 8 p.m. I can help you." I don't know who sent it, but I'm desperate. I'm going to the meeting tonight, and I'll decide what to do based on what I learn there. If you don't hear from me again, it means things didn't go well. Wish me luck. That's it for now. I'll update if I make it through this, but right now, I don't know what's going to happen.